This is a quick movie on how to use Photometrics and Q-imaging cameras inside the StreamPix application. Um, StreamPix is a pretty neat, solid piece of recording to disk software. It controls a number of cameras, ours is just one of them, but we actually have some really good solutions based around that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've opened the software, StreamPix 4, and I'm just going to add a camera. So to load a camera, use the hardware menu or click here. Okay, so I'm going to click it, I get a list. I'm going to go down the list, and in the list, Q-Imaging have the Micropublisher and Go series as one driver, and the Retiga QI cams and Relera as a separate driver. Photometrics actually has in here Roper Cascade and Roper CoolSnap CF. That will be very shortly added as the Photometrics CoolSnap HQ2 and the Quanti-M and Evolve series, supporting the latest version of PVCam. So, if I just press OK, I need to turn on a camera, so just bear with me. I think I will pick this camera. Let's do that again. Okay, now I have my camera picture driving on here. Now it's pretty straightforward. I have got on my right hand side something telling me that I've got a Q-imaging Retiga or Relera camera, and I've got the info on that. I can do regions of interest. I'm doing 22 frames a second. You can see that here and over here. And I can turn on and off live as well. I can adjust the camera, I can change parameters like gain or offset or exposure. They're pretty straightforward. It's a very simple, easy package to use for that. So how do I do a recording then? Well, mainly most of the time I'm just going to want to either trigger the camera or press a button and get a recording. So to set this up so we're doing the right things first of all, I'm actually going to go into Tools, StreamPix Settings, and enable a couple of settings to be on. And the first one I'm going to enable is going to be under Recording. I want to have these options. Auto Create Sequence on Disk. That means it's going to stream to disk whenever I press record. Always create a new file when recording starts. Again, that's what I'm going to want. And always automatically save and close the recording when I'm finished. That's a personal preference for myself. I want to know that my sequence is on the disk. The other thing I want to do is use auto naming, and just tick use auto naming for new file. We can reset that, and okay. Now what that means is every time I now press the record button up here, I'm now going to be streaming to a disk location based on the time that acquisition started. I don't have to worry about saving it or doing it new each time. So now actually we can see I've got my image running up here live on the screen, and pretty much I can just press record. And now you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen down here I've got record on, and now I'm recording. What's really nice about StreamPix is I'm recording at the rate of the camera, and you can see actually my buffer usage here, so where I'm actually at peak and total, so it's best to have a good hard disk, and actually StreamPix has some utility to test that. But the nice thing is that I'm pretty much live. If I just put my hand in front of that, you can see there's no cutoff. In lots of packages, there's a cutoff between streaming and acquisition. Okay, so now that's done, I'm just going to go File, Open Sequence. Again, this was my choice. Default, and 9:22 in the morning. And now I can play through my frame and stop it if I want to. So now I've got my image. What do I do with it? Well, okay, this is all in their proprietary format, don't forget, and you're going to want to have this in your own format to work with. They use an extension called .seq, which is their own sequence file format. To get it out, you can actually say, I want to export the current image, or the full sequence, to, and then they have a number of different ways of getting out. Do you want a TIFF per image, yeah? Do you want to have it as a JPEG? Do you want it as a QuickTime movie? They actually have some separate things when you start up of recording straight to AVI. We can actually just, if we wanted to, just send it straight to Image Pro, which is a quite nice function of the latest version of Image Pro. Inside version 7, it automatically supports the files. So here we are, 733 frames. If I just click OK. There we are, it says straight in. So that took a number of seconds, and now I can run through, and actually under information, I can now see I have all the timestamp information as well. One of the nice things about StreamPix is the interframe time is pretty tight. A lot of other packages in the market, while you're trying to take an image between frame 1 and frame 2 and 3, you'll get a different interframe time, which isn't actually particularly handy, particularly when you want to do proper science. But here is my movie, 22 frames a second. export it into Image Pro or export it out to AVI or whatever you need it to be. Okay, the last thing that we could do with this, which is quite neat if I go back to StreamPix, is I can actually customize this and use a particular mode called pre and post trigger. And what pre and post trigger does is it allows me to set a set period before and after I press a trigger button. So for example, I might say 3 seconds before I press a trigger, keep that in my data, and then I want 10 seconds after. So effectively, we're going to be recording, nothing's going to be happening, we'll be monitoring, and we'll either send a signal to the camera or the software, or we'll just press a button to say, that was interesting, and that'll give us 3 seconds of data before we press that button, and 10 after. Or we can actually do it on frames, so I could say I want to have 20 frames before and 30 frames after. Yep. So it's pretty straightforward. Hope that's pretty easy. So how do I set up my triggers and my buttons? Well, actually, I just want to go Customize Toolbar, and I'm just going to put on here that little action that I talked about, that trigger function, on my toolbar. So there should be action, and it should be trigger pre-post event. I'll add that. And the other one I'm going to do is sort by chronological order, and OK. So I've got these 2 new buttons, and they're coming kind of active in a minute. So I'm going to be free running. So I'd be doing my experiment now. I'd say, okay, well, I'll tell you what, something's going to happen now. Maybe we're monitoring an intensity, or we're doing patch clamping, or we're looking at voltages. And I say, that's interesting. In fact, that's not. I haven't set it up. Let me just make sure that I've actually got pre and post triggering actually enabled. That'd be good, wouldn't it? So now I'm doing it. I'm going along, and I say, that's interesting, and I say, okay, go. Okay. Now I've done my pre and post trigger event. Okay, my camera's still in live. So let me just go open sequence, default, latest time point. And what you'll see now is I actually have frames before. So here we are, then we've got negative frames, and then we have frames after. But what's interesting actually, and this is the reason I add this as a second button, is it doesn't necessarily follow that they're going to sequence correctly from your frames before and your frames after, because we're playing with memory buffers. So this button here says sort the order into chronological order. So it's going to put it all time correct. So now this is my frames before. So this is everything before that happened. And then that's everything after the trigger. Again, that's really neat. And the simple answer is export that straight out to Image Pro, do tracking on it, do intensity measurements, do what you need to do on it, or stick it out to any other format that you need. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any more questions on this, please contact StreamPix directly, or for application stuff, please contact Photometrics and Q Imaging. Okay, thanks.